Here today, we have Sophie Fung and Vince Tao of the Chinatown Action Group. They'll be talking about the Chinatown Economic Revitalization Plan, its impacts on the local community, upcoming projects, and a really exciting newspaper that they recently launched.
Hi, I'm Sophie Fung, and I'm with here Vince Tao, and we're both from the Chinatown Action Group. Chinatown Action Group is an intergenerational group of progressive, left, Chinese organizers working towards social justice and people power on the unceded Coast Salish territories here in Vancouver. So Vince, there's been lots happening in Chinatown recently, and we've seen a number of buildings going through rezoning and development applications. We have 105 Kiefer with 110 market units. There's 129 Kiefer with 33 proposed market units, and the Brick House and the Jimi Hendrix building, Shrine, are slated to be demolished and consolidated into 140 market units. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, the problem is there's also, on top of those plans, there's been a lot more high-end restaurants, cafes, retail shops opening up in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. In Carnegie Community Action Project's newest report, We're Too Poor to Afford Anything, they call these zones of exclusion. And they're exactly that. A lot of low-income residents and Chinese seniors don't feel welcome in any of these shops, and they frankly can't afford anything in them either. These shops are only going to be, there are going to be more of them with the city's new update to its Chinatown plan.
Mm-hmm. So the Chinatown Economic Revitalization Action Plan is an update on the original one that was passed 3 years ago. And in its latest version, the city wants to bring, quote, improvements to development policies to Chinatown to better balance revitalization with heritage conservation. But what does that mean for the low income and the Chinese seniors living in Chinatown?
Well, really, the plan doesn't provide nearly enough non-market housing to those who need it most, really. The city's inclusionary zoning policies, they don't really, actually, they're really limited in the amount of social housing they actually deliver. In the end, they really benefit the developers who want to build higher and more dense buildings. And the developers that even, they build right up to the cap, the height cap. They don't have to provide any social housing. So, things aren't looking very good in terms of,
Especially when you look back, when we looked at the units that have been proposed, the market units, there's been since 2012 and 2011 with the Heritage Area Review, Height Review, there have been 550 market units that have been approved, with only 22 units for social housing or seniors. So that's less than 5% for all of Chinatown. So on top of those already large numbers, things aren't looking so good for the community. I think this update will also threaten the wider affordability of the neighborhood with the gentrification you had talked about, but also possible displacement of low-income people from the neighborhood. So maybe this is a good time to talk about what are some of the things that we've been doing as Chinatown Action Group to push back against some of these harmful impacts on the community.
Yeah, so Chinatown Action Group has been working on new newspaper that's coming out. So it's called Voice of Chinatown, Wa Fao Xingyang. So it's a bilingual English and Chinese news service that serves to broadcast the voices of the Chinese seniors and low-income seniors in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. And the name here is really important, right? It's the Voice of Chinatown. A lot of the seniors that I've been speaking to think that they haven't been heard, either by the city or by Mayor Gregor Robertson. We really want to step in and say that these voices are important and should be heard. Mm-hmm. The logo that we chose is also really important, right? It's a take on the women's labor song, Bread and Roses. I guess our version is buns and blossoms. The steamed bun represents sustenance and labor, specifically in the Chinese community. And the plum blossom, which survives the cold, bitter winter, is a sign of inner strength and endurance. Yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting. And I know in our inaugural paper, we'll be talking about some of the findings that we did from the door knocking and street surveying from the last 6 months. We'll also feature a story about the Chinese barbecue meats that were nearly banned and the protests that followed it. We'll also have a profile of one of the seniors living in the community and some of our upcoming events.
Yeah, you can find our newspaper, in the neighborhood. We'll be distributing them at Chinese shops that are really they're also facing displacement. These shops are really important to the seniors because they, more than just a place to shop, it's a place to hang out, speak. The very few social spaces that are serve people in Cantonese as well. So yeah, but let's talk about what's happening in May.
Yeah, so we have some really exciting events coming up in May. We have, from the door knocking and surveying that we've done, we're ready to present some of those findings back to the community, and that will be done in the form of our community tea time. And do you want to talk a little bit about what some of the preliminary findings were from our surveys?
Yeah, sure. We've been, as you said, doing street surveys and speaking to a lot of the residents, and they've been, voicing their concerns over the disappearing retail, disappearing social spaces for them to, meet other seniors and other residents. They're also very much worried about the increasing cost of living. And they feel like their voices haven't been heard. They feel excluded and left behind by the rest of the city. But there's also aspirations, right? All these things we can do better, and together we can do better. We can make these spaces, have more indoor activities, have the shops bring the shops back, things like that. Yeah.
Well, that's really exciting, and I think we want to continue to learn more and hear more from the community. So at our community times, which will be May 7th and May 28th at 2 p.m. at Strathcona Community Centre, this will be a chance for residents and the community to come by and let us know what else they want to share in terms of their concerns and dreams for the community. Something else that we're excited to be doing is our People's Open House. The city and developers have been hosting many open houses, but there hasn't been one for residents or by residents or the community. And so we're hosting our People's Open House. We haven't had a date yet, but we will be posting that up on our different social media websites. But it'll be a chance for residents to do some participatory planning and some visioning so that they get to talk about a community that they want to see as opposed to what the city wants to see or developers want to see. So where can they find out more information about us, Vince?
You can find out more about us on Facebook, or you can email us at ChinatownActionGroup@gmail.com, and we'll be coming out with our newspaper, so you can find that on the streets of Chinatown.
Thank you for joining us. This has been Sophie Fung and Vincent Town from Chinatown Action Group.